Hello and welcome to the Mandalorian Review Show on the Merc with the Movie Blog podcast feed. Every week we review each episode of Disney Plus's The Mandalorian. I'm one of your hosts, Shawn, and as always, I'm joined by Jay Wade. How's it going, Wade?
Dude, Boba Fett ×2, maybe.
Okay. We'll talk about that later. Kaylin is also here. How's it going, Kaylin?
I'm good. I'm doing real good.
Awesome. All right, let's jump straight into this episode because, wow. Today we're covering Mandalorian Chapter 5, The Gunslinger, written and directed by Dave Filoni. Kaylin, short impressions on the episode?
I thought it was the worst one yet. Mm-hmm. I thought it was super cheesy. Dialogue was terrible. And I just wanted it to be over.
Okay. Wade?
I've watched it 3 times. All 3 times were too many times. Like Kaylin, it is my least favorite, and I wish I could say objectively the worst, but that's all subjective. Dialogue, terrible, and yeah, this has actually changed part of my opinion on how I felt about Filoni doing a live-action movie.
Yeah, so it's also my least favorite episode of all of them so far. I'm not as sour on it as you guys are. I've seen it twice. The second time I liked it a little bit more than the first time. But actually what I want to talk about as well in our little general discussion section here is the episode length. Because Kaylin, you said that you were ready for it to be over. I actually thought this being a shorter episode was good because I was about ready for it to be over as well.
This is... I mean, so far I have not been upset that the episodes are short because it's nice. It's nice having little short episodes. You know, they're easy to jump into and jump out of. And in my life, if something's an hour and 10 minutes, that means I'm spending like 3 hours watching it because the baby screams or whatever, or a dog is crying because they want out. So 33 minutes means I could probably get it done in 40 before anything implodes. So it's really been helpful to me. But yeah, I was ready for it to be over like 10 minutes before it was over.
Yeah. So Dave Filoni, I thought the writing in this episode, I agree, was not great. I don't think it's the worst writing we've had in the Star Wars, but also it's definitely the worst in this season. It's a marked difference from when Jon Favreau has been writing the last couple episodes. One thing I want to talk about generally, a lot of nostalgia in this episode.
Oh, God, yeah.
Some of it wasted.
This was just pure fan service, but in the bad way. This was just...
I was about to say in the bad... It's like getting a handy from someone you can't fucking stand.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I really had no intentions of that coming out, but it's exactly how I felt when it came out. I apologize, but that's how it felt to me.
So for me, the first time I saw it, I had a much better reaction to the fan service than I did the second time. When I was watching it the first time at 5 a.m, getting ready for work, he's approaching the planet and it's Mos Eisley Spaceport, and I almost cheered.
Yeah, me too.
I was so happy, and then it kept going, and then the pit droids showed up, and I was like, oh, that's okay, fine. Pit droids are kind of cool, I guess. And then it was the speeder bikes from Endor, and then it was the cantina, and then the guy was sitting in the same seat that Han was sitting in the cantina.
Oh my gosh, that's when I got enraged. That's when the rage filled me, dude. That was such a slap in the face to Han Solo, dude. It was terrible.
And he said something. Oh, there were a couple of lines that they said that were just complete throwbacks, but they just didn't work. Oh, yeah, I was cringing the whole time.
It felt like an episode of the Clone Wars.
This was complete cartoon on the big screen.
It was also filler. This is the first time that I can...
Oh my gosh.
Because I argued that... I've argued in the other episodes that we haven't had a really, truly filler episode yet because something has always happened. Something has always progressed in them. Nothing progressed in this episode.
No. I mean, because even in the last one, which number 4, I liked a lot more than I think a lot of people did.
I loved it, yeah.
Yeah, I felt like, I get it, like they showed up there and then they had to leave, so whatever, but you did learn that people are still tracking them.
Yeah.
We did learn just a little bit about the Mandalorian, and
but we learned that he didn't learn from the Jawas not to leave his ship sitting out in the middle of nowhere.
No, he didn't learn that. That's true.
No. Sorry, go ahead.
But he did learn, or we learned that he does remove his helmet when he's in private and things like that. So, I mean, we learned stuff. This one, I don't feel like I learned anything. I don't feel like the characters they introduced had enough. I get that they're short episodes, but they did not have enough development, and the acting was just subpar. So I didn't even care. Like, even if they had tried to develop them, I would not have cared. I actually thought the little droids were cute, like how they were scared of him, and they would collapse. But they were definitely CG,
Yeah.
Still love Baby Yoda.
Yeah, but he's barely in the episode.
He really is.
Which is fine with me. I would like to see a little bit less of the Mandalorian coddling him and protecting him, and see a little bit more of the Mandalorian doing what he does.
I don't disagree with that, but it just didn't work this time. Like, I feel like if Baby Yoda had been more of this episode, it would have been more entertaining, just because the stuff without Baby Yoda wasn't entertaining either.
At all.
The pit droids, I think I'm just still sour on episode 1, like the Phantom Menace. So I just, whenever I see the pit droids, I just think, oh, that goddamn fucking race. What is the race? It's
pod racing.
Pod racing. That's it. Yeah. Dave Filoni. I definitely don't feel as good about this episode as I did his first one. I'm not totally against him. I still have a lot of respect for him as a storyteller in this universe. And these are his first times. This is his first time writing and directing a live action thing. The first episode was his first time directing a live action thing that somebody else wrote. So, I'm still interested. I hope he still does an episode next season, because we're done with him for this season. This was
I just don't want him to write it. He has no I'm sorry, but this specific show, he has no business writing a complete episode on his own.
All right, that's fair.
It felt so out of place, dude. It didn't even feel like a Mandalorian episode.
If he was going to write an episode, it should have been about Baby Yoda.
True.
Because that's what he does. That's the stuff. The weird stuff in Star Wars. I'd love to see him write for Obi-Wan. That kind of stuff. I'd love to see him write for. Because the Force and all that stuff, that's where he is at his best. It's just, in this show, I think that it didn't really hit.
See, the thing that's changed for me is, before this episode, I was all about, let Filoni do a live action, all about it, dude. Let's see this shit. Well, this was our first glimpse of it. And after seeing this last episode, chapter, whatever, I love what he does in animated, and I want him to continue that, writing, directing, all that stuff. I still would like to see him direct a live action movie, but I do not want him to write it, because for me, he can't separate cartoons and live action when he writes. He wrote this live action as if it were a cartoon show.
As if it was
that did not play.
I think even more than that, he wrote it as if it was an anthology, which is what he was used to writing with Clone Wars. He's technically doing with this new season of Clone Wars. Everything kind of takes place on its own. Every episode, Clone Wars a lot of the time does not go episode to episode storytelling. It's an anthology show. One episode they're talking about the Battle of Geonosis. The next episode they're talking about a battle that happened a year earlier. He's very used to that. And talking about consistent storytelling over a season, they gotta pick it up, man. What are we doing? We're 5 episodes in. There's only 3 episodes left.
Yeah, there's no clear path that we're on. All we're doing is, all we're doing is we're running from planet to planet, coddling a baby.
And
that's it.
If I'm okay with episode 4 because at least it ends with like, because it's still about them trying to hide, and like it's related to the plot. Like they're there because they're trying to hide from the people that are after them. We find out that the people are still after them. You know, there's a whole lot with Baby Yoda, which Baby Yoda is essentially the A plot of the series. So all of that stuff is in there. But this episode, you took Baby Yoda out for most of it. There's no connection from the last episode into this one. We just open up, and we'll talk about it in a second, but we just open up and we're in the middle of like an action sequence. There's no connecting tissue between this episode and last episode. And the episode doesn't end in a way that ties it back into the main plot as far as we're aware.
No.
Yeah.
Nothing relates to the main plot, really.
No.
But,
Yeah.
And I want to point out a missed opportunity, I think, real quick, before we get into any detailed stuff. Okay, so first of all, you hear he's going to Mos Eisley, and that's awesome. Yeah. Then you see that same shot of the city that we did from New Hope, and that was amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so he goes in, and first of all, they had the amazing visual of the stormtrooper helmets on the pikes.
Oh, that was awesome, yeah.
That was cool, and that explains a lot as to why there is no Imperial presence there. But I just feel that was such a cool shot that they could have maybe used it in a different way in a different episode and made it mean more. But that's not the missed opportunity. The missed opportunity, I think, which is a deep cut, when he goes into the cantina, imagine how cool it would have been, and don't have to mention him by name, it would have been for folks like me who knew this, but if they would have had Chalman, the owner during New Hope, standing behind the bar, a Wookiee, that would have just been great. You don't have to name him, but people like me would be like, that's Chalman.
One thing I will say about the Cantina bar, I actually liked how it almost, just walking in, you almost could feel the difference in the galaxy from A New Hope to now. Because, you know, when you go into A New Hope, the band's playing, everybody's talking, and it's filled with people. And now we're kind of in this limbo period in between the New Republic and the Empire. And when he goes into the bar, there's no band. It's barely anybody in there. It's dead.
Except for Poser Boy sitting in Han's seat with his freaking feet kicked up on the table, just like Han. Oh, man, that made me so mad.
But I did like that just the atmosphere of the cantina kind of told you, like, yeah, things are different in the galaxy. You know, it's, even though the Empire's gone, things still aren't normal. Anybody else have any general discussion stuff?
Nope.
Wade?
Not me neither.
All right, so we're going to take a break real quick to hear about some other Merc with the Movie blog shows, and when we return, we're going to go in depth.
Hello, everybody. Jay Wade
and Kaylin here
to tell you about SEN Afterlive.
It's an after-show podcast where we expand on the week of craziness on SEN Live, as well as have guests on to join in the fun.
Yep, and we get personal, too. We do movie reviews, and at times we go way off the rails, which I guarantee is always Kaylin's fault.
Hey, how rude and not true. So, come join us on the Merc with the Movie blog feed, and remember to rate, share, and subscribe, and as always, enjoy.
Hi everyone, this is Sarah, host of Go Get That Rose podcast, a podcast that is dedicated to talking about all things Bachelor Nation. Join Jay Wade, a man in his 40s who is recently new to all things Bachelor Nation, and myself, someone who has been watching passionately for the past 3 years, as we review, share our thoughts on each episode of whatever show is currently on TV, whether that is Bachelor, Bachelorette, or Bachelor in Paradise. We might not even know everyone's name, but we have fun nonetheless. You can find us on Merc with a Movie blog feed wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey there, Schmodown fans, this is Josh the Merc Rainer, and I am here to tell you about my show, Talkin' Schmodown. Whether it's Andrew Guy getting hit with a chair, John Roca screaming, "Outlaw!" or the emotional retirement of the Shire Wolves, I talk about it all. So you can catch me right here on Anchor and all the other major podcasting platforms. So, as I ask every episode, are you ready to talk Schmodown? I am.
Hey, it's Sarah, and I'd like to tell you about Afterlife. It's a weekly Collider Live after show podcast where Mike, Shawn, and I give our takes on Roxy and Dorinda's antics, on Yodi's producing skills, and whatever Cody and Alex are up to in that booth. In addition to having guests, we expand on the crew's discussions and add our own craziness in the mix. You can find the show on Merc and Movie Blog feed on all the podcasting platforms. See you soon!
All right, check out those shows. They are great. Wade and Kaylin are doing an amazing job over at SEN Afterlife, and I'm doing a fantastic job at Afterlife. You know, just it's me. I'm great. I'm amazing.
Look at that horn, man.
We're going to do some in-depth discussion now, and we're going to start with Kaylin. You picked a scene, the spaceship fight.
At the beginning, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so you jump right into the episode. There's no, like you were saying, there's no connective tissue. We have no idea when we are or where we are, and he's being chased by what I can only assume is a bounty hunter who, you know, is following him. And it's atrocious dialogue, bad cutting, just overall weird, really weird. And as I was watching it, I thought, okay, this is like some sort of nightmare dream sequence or something that's going on, and he's going to wake up.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't. I was like, oh, so that's how we started the episode. Okay. And then something about when they show the guy exploding.
Yep. That looks so bad.
Oh.
And if you listen, he keeps yelling through the entire explosion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, I noticed that the second time I watched it and I rewound it, I'm like, is he still alive and yelling as the explosion is trickling into nothing in space? And he was. And I was like, that's a really stupid editing mistake right there.
You know what that scene looks like? It looks like they shot it and they did models and then they put CGI over it.
Yeah.
The model with the explosion particularly, it looks like there is a model that blows up and then there is CGI explosions on top and spreading out from that explosion from the model. Because there are flames that look real and then flames that look very not real on the outside.
Well, just overall, the whole thing looked really cheesy. It was really, really bad. It was some of the worst.
Yeah. And him, I was about to say him ripping off that line. Mm-hmm. That right there, him doing that, it completely erased the fucking awesomeness of when the Mandalorian used that line. It completely erased it, man.
I kind of liked that he was like, that's my line. But it's still...
That was even worse than the guy using his line.
It didn't... Yeah,
that was like I gotta get one of those when Rocketeer flew by him.
Yeah, I actually really like that line. But also, it's the fight ends and the ship powers off, and I had a moment where I was like, we're about to get the best episode of The Mandalorian. It's going to take place entirely in space. He's going to be stuck on this ship with no power, and we're going to get a whole bunch of stuff with him and Baby Yoda. Nope. He just goes over, flips a couple buttons, and power comes back. What happened?
Yeah.
And also, I want to know why they're in a galaxy with so many planets. How the hell did he land on Tatooine?
Because fan service, Kayla.
Yeah.
And not just that, and this is something that, you know, is a big issue in Star Wars, that planets seem very, very, very tiny. Almost like every planet has one little town on it, and that's the whole planet. But even if he did land on that planet, why did he land at the Mos Eisley Cantina? Or Mos Eisley, you know.
Fan service.
I know, and I hated it.
It was the worst kind of fan service, like you said at the start.
I did like that they, at least somebody referred to Mos Espa, which is Anakin, where Anakin is from. So that was cool.
That would have been cool. If you're going to go somewhere familiar on that planet, that would have been much cooler.
Yeah.
Much cooler. And you could have tied in the prequels into that in a really subtle way that no one ever would have thought that it was weird or shoehorned in.
Or go to Anchorhead. We've never seen Anchorhead in a movie
True.
before. Or, like we know it exists. Anchorhead, we know it's a place. Never been there. There are places we could have gone on Tatooine where it didn't have to be Mos Eisley, and that bugged me a little bit. Like, I was excited, and actually it's starting to bug me for you guys talking about it, because it didn't bug me as much before. But now that I'm thinking about it, you could have gone anywhere else on that planet. You could have created a new town. You could have gone to Anchorhead. Hell, you could have gone to Jabba's palace. We're only there for a little bit.
I was wanting that, dude. I was wanting that so bad, like, for them, when they got on the speeder bikes, I wanted them to be going to Jabba's palace, and, like, someone new had taken it over, or maybe a group of people had taken it over and were just refugees there or something, but I at least wanted to see it in the background, if you're going to be that close.
For a show that, like The Mandalorian, I think Jabba's palace probably would have been a better pick, too. It's more underworld. It's more bounty hunter, stuff like that. You guys have anything else about this scene?
Nope.
All right, let's move on to Wade's pick. Wade, you picked that night charge on the speeders.
Yes. And the reason I picked this one was because it was the only good thing from the entire episode. Okay, now, I saw Return of the Jedi in the theater when I was a kid, and before I had seen it in the theater, I had also seen New Hope and Empire many times, all right? Yeah. So, dude, Return of the Jedi, those speeder bikes, ever since then and up to this day, I am still obsessed with those things. I love them. I've always wanted a motorcycle chopper that looked just like that speeder bike. And so when I loved the speeder bikes, that was like the only saving grace for me. But yeah, that night scene when they're racing across there, and then they do like the thermal vision, the Agent May's view.
Yeah.
That was so awesome, dude.
Yes.
And the flash grenades, or whatever the hell they're called. The flares, that was amazing. It was just so damn good, that charge toward her.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good, man. And, I mean, it was cool the way it was, but also in my head, I was thinking like, imagine like a cavalry of these speeder bikes. In that scene, imagine there would have been like 20 of them in that scene, the way it was shot, and they're all charging.
Well, you're not going to get a speeder charge, but you are going to get a cavalry charge in The Rise of Skywalker. So you have that to look forward to, Wade.
Somehow horses can run on spaceships when they're in outer space. It's going to be amazing to find out how.
I don't think they're in outer space, but I think they're still flying up from...
Give it to me, dude. Come on, just give it to me.
I liked that night attack of speeders. It was cool.
It was cool.
I like the flares. The flares, I think, were probably the best part about it. Kaylin, what'd you think of this scene?
It was good.
Yeah. All right.
It's hard to get enthusiastic about anything from this episode, to be honest.
Yeah, by this point, I was just like, meh.
I'm about to get very enthusiastic. Rolling from this scene into the fight scene between with Agent May. She took off her helmet. I know we already saw it in with the bounty puck that it was Agent May. Took off the helmet. I almost cheered. She is not the best part of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but probably like the second best part of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I was so happy to see her in this episode. The fight scene itself was fine. I more enjoyed her turning that poser dude and messing with his head.
Right.
I hope that she's not dead. But I very much enjoyed that bit. I just enjoyed seeing Ming-Na Wen doing fights. I hope that she's not dead and she'll come back. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. ends this year. She's had a really good working relationship with Disney, so maybe she goes from an MCU show to a Star Wars show.
Yeah, that could be cool.
What did you guys think about this scene? Did anybody else enjoy it as much as I did?
I mean, it was pretty good. But I don't think she's dead, only because usually when someone's dead, they make a point to let you know they're dead.
Mm-hmm.
And they did not make a point to let us know she was dead. She sort of just slumped over, but I don't know that we, I don't know. it was still questionable.
If she lives, then they're going to have to really explain how, because, I mean, that was point-blank range with a blaster to the gut.
Well, maybe he had it set to...
No.
When stun shots happen, they're like circular.
He was going for the kill, and it was weird. One, you could see he was going for the kill, but when you could see that was really a weird shot. Like when he drew and in the flash from the blaster went, his eyes and face looked really weird to me in that split second.
Yeah, he looked weird.
But I mean, it looked weird, but at the same time, it looked like he was just in that moment, like, I'm doing this. His eyes got big, like, I'm doing this. Boom. But it just, the visual of it looked weird. Not what he did. But
I can't argue with that. I was very excited to see Agent May. I hope she comes back. Speaking of her maybe coming back, let's talk about the last scene that I picked out to talk about. Because I picked two scenes, because Wade, we have to talk about this.
Dude, yes. Yes,
I'm about to hate the words that I'm about to say to you, Wade. All right, I still don't think that it's true, but this is the closest I've ever gotten to thinking that maybe it's true. Is Boba Fett in this show?
In this show, like was that Boba Fett? Is that what you're asking?
Was that?
Or
Boba
are you
Fett?
asking, like, will he end up being a part of the show?
Was that Boba Fett?
Absolutely, yes, it was. Without doubt. It had to be. As soon as I saw the cape, dude, I was like, it has to be Boba.
Kaylin, what do you think?
I don't know what you're talking about.
The scene at the very end where the person walks up to Agent May's body.
Oh!
I realized that, like, the speculation is that that's Boba Fett.
I don't know. I didn't really speculate about who I thought it was.
Yep. Boba Fett has to be, dude.
The same walking sound.
Yeah, that little jingling.
Yeah.
And oh man, how could it not be? It has to be, dude.
It just seems so obvious that I think I don't know if it's real. Because, like, in my head, I thought, okay, maybe Giancarlo Esposito, but he's playing an Imperial Moff, so why would he be out in the middle of the desert? Maybe Grief Karga, but Grief Karga didn't dress like that. So, I can't think of anybody but Boba Fett. Maybe it's just another Mandalorian.
Dude, there's no way they can do that. And especially not on Tatooine.
Yeah,
they can't just be like, the Mandalorians have been purged, and we saw in this one planet where there's a small dwelling of them underground. Yeah. That's been exposed. But somehow on Tatooine, there's this whole other different Mandalorian that we've never seen yet or heard of.
Well,
I just find that hard to believe.
I was thinking more maybe they followed him from...
I doubt that too. I don't think
Navarro. Isn't
that
what she named? They named the planet Navarro this episode, right? Isn't that what Agent May said?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just it has to be Boba, dude. It has to be. And even if they never show us who that was, I'm fine with that, because in my mind that is Boba Fett, and that's confirmation that he lives.
There's no way they don't show us who that was.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, for me personally, I don't need anything else. That I'm happy with that.
This is the closest I've ever been to thinking possibly Boba Fett is alive. Kaylin, if that is Boba Fett, right? Mm-hmm. If that's him, does he show up this season, or does he show up next season? Or does he show up at all?
I'm getting less and less confident that they have a
ending,
clear end point for this season. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that we're going to tie up every loose end this season, which is fine. You shouldn't tie up every loose end, because then you have nowhere to start for season 2. So I don't know. We only have 3 episodes left.
I know.
And they have introduced and walked away from so many characters and moments at this point that there's no way we return to all of them and give them a significant and meaningful callback in the next 3 episodes. So I don't know. That may be something for next season.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know where we're going. I don't even know what's his goal? What are we trying to get Baby Yoda somewhere safe? And we've already established that doesn't exist.
I don't know.
Yeah. And as far as the characters thing, I mean, I'm with you, Kaylin. If they bring them back, and I think as far as who this is, whether or not it's Boba Fett, but like I said, I believe it is. It'll be next season. Because I mean, we still have the Chicken Man from Breaking Bad that we haven't met yet.
Yes.
We've still got Bill Burr.
Yeah.
We still got the lady that's with him. I can't remember her character
Cara
name
Dune?
or actress.
Cara
Yes.
the character, yeah.
So we've still got characters that we know are going to be in this season that we haven't met yet.
Well, we met Cara Dune last episode.
Well, no, then that's not who I'm talking. I'm bad with names. The other one with the alien species that's in the clips with Bill Burr when they're walking away.
Oh,
she turns and looks over her shoulder, and Bill Burr's with her.
The Twi'lek?
Yeah, whatever. I'm sorry. I'm bad with names and
name.
species and shit,
Okay.
dude. I don't know. They're just, I mean, dude, I call James Vanderbeek Dawson's Creek. You know, what do you want from me?
That's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, we haven't met those 3 yet, and those are the only 3 that I can recall that we've been introduced to that we haven't met yet. But I mean, that 3 is a lot for only 3 episodes left.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So they aren't going to show that character until they maybe show a tease or let us know that who it is, whether or not it's Boba, like at the very end of the last episode of this season. But other than that, we're not going to get anything full on about that character until next season, I don't think.
Here is what I'm going to predict. All right. I obviously this probably won't happen. I predict these last 3 episodes, as the Mandalorian takes people out, we see this mysterious figure like behind him collecting these people almost. And then the last episode, maybe he's with like Grief Karga or something, and he's talking about I'm putting together a group of bounty hunters and stuff, people that have crossed paths with the Mandalorian, and then they show us it's Boba Fett.
That would be cool.
Mm.
Like we don't see who it is, we just see his feet when he's like putting together a crew pretty much for these last 2 episodes, and then at the end of the last episode he's talking to Apollo Creed, and he's like, I'm putting together a crew, and the camera pans up and boom, Boba Fett. That's what I think is going to happen. I kind of wish it wasn't Boba Fett, but they better do something cool with him. If Boba Fett's coming back, they've got to do something cool with him, and they've also got to acknowledge that the Mandalorians don't think shit of him. Like they have to acknowledge that the Mandalorians don't think shit of him, but also then make him kick the shit out of some Mandalorian. Because Boba Fett's got a fucking big hill to climb with me, because I think he's the lamest character in Star Wars.
Well, he's the lamest character in Star Wars because they made him that way.
Yeah,
by making his dad a poser and all that. That was the stupidest thing, man.
In the original trilogy, he goes out like a bitch.
I know, it's terrible, dude. Okay, real quick, man. Real quick. Dude, the prequel trilogy completely screwed over all the villains, dude. Maul, he should have been the villain throughout the entire episode 1 and half of episode 2. At the beginning of episode 2, they introduced Jango the same way they did, is fine, trying to assassinate Padme, okay? Then we get to see Maul and Jango do some work together, and then Maul ends up dying in that big battle at the end. Jango goes on and lives, and Jango goes out in Revenge of the Sith. They totally fucking screwed those villains up, dude. That's
I wouldn't have even put Jango in there.
What's that?
I wouldn't have even put Jango in there.
No, Jango is necessary to explain where the clones came from, and it's awesome that they did that. They just ended up screwing his character up and making him a weak sissy boy.
But did the clones have to be Boba Fett's father?
They didn't. That's the kind of fan service type stuff like in this episode that bothers me.
No, that was the original story though, was that Jango okay, it was not canon at the time, but when they introduced Jango, and Jango being the ones that they cloned, at the time the Legends version was that Jango was in fact Mandalorian. He was taken in by the Mandalorians, I guess like a foundling, like our Mandalorian now is, and that Count Dooku put out a bounty on a jet or on a rogue Sith or whatever, and that whoever was the one that could catch this badass rogue Sith and bring them in or kill them was the one that they were going to clone for the troopers. And that's how they got Jango, was the one that they cloned the troopers after. But then when they ended up making him a little bitch, then it screwed all of that up.
It's not
they
even
should have held that Legends and made it canon.
It's not even really that bothers me. It's like Boba Fett's dad is the fucking genetic material for the biggest army in the gal. Like, if it had been another
they would have made it that the Legends in the canon, that would have made sense.
Still, it doesn't matter if he's a badass. It's still too
like, why
convenient. Him? Yeah, why does it have to be somebody who's directly related?
Bounty hunters that Dooku hired, he was the one that won.
But why couldn't the one who won have been somebody who wasn't directly related to Boba Fett? It doesn't bother me that it's Jango Fett the Mandalorian that is cloned. It bothers me that it's Jango Fett the Mandalorian who also is Boba Fett's dad. Like,
because he wanted an unaltered clone to be his actual son.
But that's just so that you can be like, oh look, Boba Fett. Remember Boba Fett? And it's like, okay, we don't we
didn't need that.
It still makes sense with as far. I'll give you what you're saying, but as far as the look of the clone army, it does make sense. And even the stormtroopers, they didn't look like Mandalorians, but there were some resemblances in helmets and stuff. I mean, it makes sense because the clone army was basically Mandalorian. I mean, definitely Mandalorian helmets. That's for sure.
But you don't introduce the clone troopers until you've introduced Jango Fett. So, like, when you introduce those things together.
We learned about both at the same time. We did see Jango Fett before we found out about the clones, but we didn't learn about him. But we did learn about both at the same time. And I'm fine with that, especially since we saw Jango before we found out about the clones.
That's not what this podcast is about.
I know. But it is fine. All kind of tied in as far as Mandalorians and Boba Fett and stuff. So,
and you know that I love talking about this stuff. I
know.
Drag this stuff on for too long.
And we're gonna in here soon. You're gonna be trying to convince me that The Last Jedi was good.
Yeah,
so you guys wait till that show comes out.
I don't know why the hell I'm doing this. Okay. I felt really positive about it, and then you watched the movie again. You just shit all over it in chat, and I was like, oh, good. Here we go. This is gonna be fun. So we're going to do social plugs now. You can find this show and others on the Merc with the Movie Blog feed, which can be located on Anchor, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, Radio Public, Breaker, and Overcast. You can also follow Merc with the Movie Blog on Twitter at MovieBlogMerc. Kaylin, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at KaylinRose715. That's KALYNROSE 715.
Oh my God, that was so fast. Holy shit. Wait.
I know, she did that last night too. I was like, dude, I got to step up my game. So here we go. Okay, y'all can find me at the Twitter at JWade1134. That is the letter J, WADE 1134. Kaylin and I also do an after show for SEN Live called SEN After Live, also on this feed. Also with Sarah, who is host of After Live. She and I do a weekly Bachelor podcast called Go Get That Rose. And there you go.
Yeah. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Shawn_AFK. On this feed, I'm also on After Live with Sarah and Mike. Apparently, I'm also going to be trying to convince Jay Wade that The Last Jedi is a good movie. So, look out for that. And
I also goes at it. You'll have one chance before I see episode 9, and then after I watch episode 9, I will watch Last Jedi again just to see if it changed my views. So you'll have a couple goes at it. Good luck.
Wait, if Rise of Skywalker goes the way that I think it is, that episode's just going to be you and me talking about how The Last Jedi is a terrible movie.
Well, maybe I'll have to convince. Maybe I'll do the devil's advocate, and I'll convince you that it's good.
Yeah. And you guys can also, I do a podcast with my fellow Afterlife co-host, Mike Mixtape. We talk about every episode of Power Rangers from Power Rangers Dino Thunder. That's at Go Into the Grid on Twitter. And Wade, I hear you're going to be on an episode next week.
Yes, I've got nothing. I was asked. I've got nothing going on that night, and I've never seen a single episode of Power Rangers, and that excites me. I'm looking forward to it.
I just want to clarify that I was not consulted before you were asked. So,
I am sorry to you.
No, I'm so excited. And that'll be coming out in a couple weeks. So, guys, thank you again for listening. Don't forget, at Movie Blog Merc on Twitter, you can find this show and so many others. And we have spoken.